Definitive detention by Florida. February 1978, a week after he murdered 12 years old Kimberly Leah, he was stopped by police in Pensacola. As he was driving a stolen car, he was arrested. The police who were looking for them heard several witnesses and found physical evidence that linked him to 3 murders, including a mold made from the bite marks found on the body of one of the victims of Chi Omega. In the case of Kimberly Leah, fibers from Ted's clothing were also found in the crime scene. Ted defended himself in trial in Utah, Colorado, and Florida, as the police tried to collect the trail of that young man that led to him. During his various trials, a very confident Ted Bundy defended himself, receiving praise and a legion of admirers. After several appeals, Bundy was electrocuted by the state of Florida in 1989. For his last meal, he ordered steak, eggs, bread, and coffee, but he declined because he was not hungry. According to Galileo, his last words were, "Jean and Fred, I would like you to give my love to my family and friends." Jean Coleman was one of his lovers, and Fred Lawrence was the Methodist minister who had prayer with Bundy during the night. Ted has been convicted of the murder of 36 women, but police estimated the number could be as high as 65. According to the authorities, his first murder was at age 14 when he allegedly killed of 8 years old neighbor. We will start the history of Ted Bundy, a killer in the most prolific series in the United States. A fascinating story that involves several sectors of the justice of the United States, which is still told today by various media professionals. Accompany, comment, share, and help us telling this history. Thank you. Theodore Robert Bundy, better known by the nickname of Ted Bundy, Burlington, 24th of November of 1946, Starke, Bradford County, 24th of January of 1989, was a notorious serial murderer American who kidnapped, raped, and killed several young women in the 1970s on early. After almost a decade of denial before his execution in 1989, he confessed to 13 murders in 7 states from 74 to 78. The actual number of the victims, however, can be much higher. Bundy was considered a handsome and charismatic man. He used to win the trust of his victims in society. Bundy approached his victim in public place, feigning injury or disability, or pretended to be authority figure before attacking them and rendering the unconscious and talking them to explosive place to rape and them kill them. Sometimes he would return to the crime sign, fixing the place and having sex with the decaying corpus until the putrefaction phase or other events, such as a wild animal touching the body that prevent him from continuing. He beheaded at last himself, with men keep some of the head in his apartment as souvenirs. On some occasion, he broke into his victims' home at night and beat them while they slept. In 1975, Bundy was arrested for the first time, being captured by Utah authorities, kidnapping, and attempted criminal aggression. He then became suspicious of a long list of homicides that took place in several states. Facing murder charges in Colorado, he orchestrated two ingenious escape and committed crime in Florida again, including 3 murders before being definitely captured in 1978. For the homicide committed in Florida, he received 3 death sentences in 2 trials. During his trial, Bundy, a graduate in law and psychology, acted in his own lawyer in several occasions, granted interviews to journalists, and attracted enormous media attention for his eloquence and charisma. He tried to use this media interest to his advantage, while he resisted confessing his crime in an attempt to postpone his execution. However, Bundy was taken to electric chair in Florida State Prison in Rainford and executed in January 24, 1989. Biographer Anne Rowland, who had worked with Bundy, described him as a sadistic sociopath who took pleasure in the pain of other human beings and the control they exercised over him, his victim, took a point of the death and over after. Bundy also proclaimed himself the coldest, instead, motherfucker you ever know. Laura Polly Nelson, a member of his last defense team, wrote that he was the very definition of heartless evil. Ted Bundy was raised by grandparents who passed for his adoptive parents. Her mother, Eleanor Lois Cowell, was introduced as if she were her sister, which only changed when she met the man who would become Ted's stepfather and who would give him the surname Bundy. His childhood at his grandparents' house would also have another problem. He lived with his grandfather, outbursts of violence which often attacked his grandmother. Also, according to Galileo, during high school, he was investigated for theft twice and as an adult. He even working on a suicide prevention phone line, and won the Seattle Anti-Crime Committee, in which one of the projects involved rape prevention. He would also have had a girlfriend for a long time, named Elizabeth Cloefer. Elizabeth's daughter, Tina, would have been treated as a daughter by Ted. It was in 1974 that girls began to disappear from university camps in the states of Washington and Oregon near Bundy's home. In the fall of that year, the young man decided to start studying law at the University of Utah, and not coincidentally, several students from there, they were kidnapped, abused, and killed. One of the attacks took place against Carol Daron, who happily managed to escape and contact the police. The student gave the authorities a description of the man, the Volkswagen he drove, and a sample of his blood that was his jacket during the fight. A few hours after Daron's attack, 17 years old Debbie Kent disappeared. All that time, pedestrians discovered a bone cemetery in a Washington forest, and after analysis, it was found that the bodies belonged to Mrs. Woman in Washington and Utah. Researchers from both states communicated and drew up a profile and sketch composed of a man named Ted, published the Galileo magazine in August 2019. Since he lured his victim to the car doors, often saying he needed help with the shopping when he appeared with a crunching or his arm in a cast. Ted beat the victims and took them away to privately enjoy their deaths. He preferred to kill young white woman. One of the victims, however, was only 12 years old, with a long straight hair parted in a half, and attacked his victim with blunt objects. Bundy's modus operandi has evolved in organization and sophistication over time, as is typical of serial killers, according to FBI experts. Early on, it consisted of breaking into a house each night, followed by a violent attack while the victims slept. As his methodology evolved, Bundy became progressively more organized in his choice of the victims and crime scenes. Once in and near his car, the victim was overwhelmed, beaten, and handcuffed before being abused and strangled. He admitted to keeping some bodies in his apartment for a period before discarding them, having ever cut off the heads of 12 of those bodies with a saw. In the case of the Donna Mason, for example, Ted would have used the fireplace of his ex-girlfriend Cloepher to incinerate the severed head. When bodies were not captive, they were taken to pre-selected locations, often a considerable distance from where the victim had been kidnapped. At the body spawn site, Ted removed and burned the victim's clothes. He also committed necrophilia, returned to the body to dress, makeup, painting his nails, and even take pictures. Ted admitted that he had an insatiable appetite from violent pornography. Ted Bundy, some of his no-cited victims in the present era: Carrie Lynn Campbell, Donna Gail Mason, Kimberly LaFoche, Kimberly Diane Leah, Roberta Kathleen Park, Karen Spark, Linda Ann, Susan Elaine, Brenda Carroll, Jorgen Hawkins, Janice Ott, Denise Mary, Nancy Wilcox, Melissa Smith, Laura Ann, Carol Darroch, Deborah Jean, Julie Cunningham, Denise Lynn, Lynette Down, Susan Kurt, Lisa Levy, Margaret Bowman, Kat Kleiner, Karen Chandler, Cheryl Thomas, and Leslie Palmenter. In 1974, he was arrested by a traffic officer when he tried to escape standard procedures. Wished officers found handcuffed in Ice Pick, a crowbar, pantyhose with ear holes, and the other questionnables eaten in his car. Ted was arrested on suspicion of theft, but was later changed and convicted of the attempt kidnapping Carol Darroch, and would have been tried for the death of Carrie Campbell if he had not managed to escape from prison in December 1977 after two previous attempts failed.